Hello and welcome to episode 140 of Controller Club, the friendly face gaming space, a podcast where three friends from three different continents share in one love, and that is video games. On today's show, Warner Brothers continues to fumble the video gaming bag. GTA 6 still coming in 2025 apparently, and we will be building the Nintendo Switch Hall of Fame. But before we get to all of that, let's introduce our panel of hosts today. My name is Kleinfeld, of course, and alongside me, as always, are two of my best friends in the whole wide gaming world. First, coming to us from across the pond, it is the digital art and daredevil himself, Newshound, Tom Drew. Tom, how are you? How are things? Got another exclusive for us today?
I wish I did. I have gone back to my various sources and been like, if you have any other information, pass them my way. But yeah, nothing this week. But if you do have a hot scoop that you want to share with us, feel free to reach out because we love like exclusive info. It's interesting. So yeah.
Totally. Next up, it is everybody's favorite Australian, the Canadian in training, journalist extraordinaire, Lauren Rouse. Lauren, what's going on? How are you? You're settling into your new place. How's life treating you?
Um, that's right. I've moved. Things are unpacked. I didn't think of anything interesting to say at the top of the show. So that's my life right now.
I'm glad we are top of mind always. Okay, let's get into it. We are all here. We're all doing well. We'll jump right into the news, and then we'll do our Nintendo Switch Hall of Fame. Okay, so let's get into the news we choose. Tom Drew, give us that news jingle.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
We go to Lauren for our top story. Warner Brothers, what's happening? There's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, so there was a big report this week from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, who always has the big reports about what's going on at Warner Brothers gaming division. So if you don't know, they are responsible for, yeah, it's a conglomerate. There's many studios under one head, and they have produced games like usually anything in the DC universe. So the Batman Arkham games, we had Multiverses, Gotham Knights, Hogwarts Legacy. I think they have HBO things, so Game of Thrones and all of that as well.
Mortal
Typically
Kombat's
comes,
another big one.
yep, Mortal Kombat. So it's a pretty big name in gaming. But recently, we've sort of seen some losses out of Warner Brothers, and Jason Schreier has kind of gone into this. And there's kind of three main things that I want to hit out of this, so we can alternate or just discuss them one at a time. But we'll start with the Rocksteady news. So Rocksteady, as we know, are the makers of Batman Arkham. We played those games, all three of them last year on the show in our New Game Plus, so we are very familiar with Rocksteady and the Batman Arkham games. And basically out of the report, we learned that studio head David Haddad reportedly saw Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, which was the studio's next game, as a billion-dollar game. However, Rocksteady was made up of devs with experience in single-player games, and so this pivot to multiplayer kind of resulted in some turmoil. It included the departure of studio bosses Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill, and they left and actually just started a new studio with most of the devs from Rocksteady. And then Schreier wrote that, quote, now Rocksteady is looking to return to Batman for a single-player game, but according to people familiar with the timeline, the new project is years away from landing. So it seems that, as we kind of all suspected, with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League not really performing to standard and kind of altering the identity of that studio, they're now taking a step back and pivoting to what made them look great, which was the Batman games. So what do you guys think about this, first off? We kind of have called it that they'll probably go back to a Batman Arkham game after this. But what do you think about that news actually being solidified now? And kind of this report about what happened like within the studio over this time. It was kind of a bit of a shame to see like corporate interference in this way. What do you think, Klein?
It's no surprise to me that they're going back to Batman. That's where they kind of, I don't know, got their flowers, where they really broke out. I'm a little concerned if there is a Warner Brothers gaming division for a Batman game to release under when it does eventually come out, because Suicide Squad came out a year ago. They had a plan for it. It kind of just came to an end just a couple of weeks ago. So that means this Batman game is 5 years away with like the current AAA development timelines. And like, it just seems like Warner Brothers, as we'll get into more in this report, like things are looking really thin. There's been rumors of them selling off their IP for a long time and maybe no longer doing anything in-house. So I think it's exciting. In the reality that this Batman game comes out, I hope it is like a Batman Arkham. I want it to be like Batman Arkham Beyond, let's say. I want a Batman Beyond game out of this. I think that's probably would make a lot of sense judging from where we kind of ended with Arkham Knight and that story and that kind of thing. You can give it to a new hero, you can give people that Batman world that they know and love with the characters that they know and love, but just with a bit of a twist on it. It's a shame to see like one of my favorite studios kind of going through this, but I think I don't know. I thought from very early on when we knew what Suicide Squad was, I was kind of like, what are we doing? And ultimately that's where everyone came down on that thing. So it's I don't know, it's exciting, but it is also kind of like a little scary, a little nerve-wracking that they're going to go back to the Batman well, and we'll see what happens from there. It's just, I don't know. Warner Brothers as a whole right now is just seems to be in a bit of a mess when it comes to their gaming.
Well, just on that, so do you think that Warner Brothers Games is going down the drain entirely?
That, yes, yeah, yeah, I do. I think that Warner Brothers for a long time it made sense to have their own gaming division with studios in house where they own Rocksteady, they own NetherRealm, they own oh my goodness. Who's the Warner Brothers Montreal? Is that what it's called? The Gotham
Yeah.
Knights. They own those studios, and that made sense for a long time. But like Disney used to have that as well, and with Disney Interactive, and that kind of disappeared. And now they're doing a bit more of a new I don't know, new strategy, new way of dealing with things where it is, hey, we're going to go to Insomniac and say, hey, do you want to make a Spider-Man game? We're going to go to another studio and say, hey, do you want to do, we're going to go to Arcane. Do you want to make Blade and that sort of thing? And I think that Warner Brothers, if they didn't have these studios in house, wishes that they could do that. Like they wish that they, I think feel tied down right now by some of the, by having to do it all inside. And there's been rumors for years that like I think it was 2 or 3 years ago that when Xbox was buying everyone up, there was rumors that they were going to perhaps buy Warner Brothers Interactive and give all that IP to their teams and that sort of thing. So I honestly would not be surprised if Warner Brothers Games just disappears entirely.
Yeah, interesting, because I think there's a world in which. Hang on, let me put my thoughts together. Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, I really don't know. I could see a world where Warner Brothers just gets snatched up by like an Xbox or something like that, and that would really bolster that kind of library. I mean, having a big game, like Mortal Kombat, like that franchise on like just on Xbox. I mean, although having said that, like we talked about last week, Xbox is very happy to
Mhm.
shell out their IPs and stuff. So
I think
maybe
it's more
not.
likely they do the Marvel Games route, where it is
Yeah.
like they go to these third parties, and that doesn't mean Rocksteady can't work on a Batman game. I don't think that means NetherRealm is never going to make Mortal Kombat again. It just means like, hey, you
Hmm.
guys are independent now. We don't own you anymore, but we do want Batman games. We do want NetherRealm games. We're just going to open the floodgates a little bit and allow someone else to take a stab at these franchises and these IP that we can't when we have them like in house because it's kind of going against our I don't know, our mandate.
Yeah, it's just minimizing the risk because Warner Brothers at this point is just like such a they're so seem to be so risk averse. I mean, there's a lot riding on their film division, and their gaming division was for a while it was holding up the fort for a bit, and now it's kind of fallen down because of Suicide Squad and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, as for Rocksteady, like I the idea of another Batman game excites me, but at the same time, obviously there's like I'm sure there's so many talented people at Rocksteady. I mean, you say what you want about Suicide Squad, there is some good quality in that game. Like there's clearly talent at the studio still. Having said that, big heads like Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill, who really did kind of craft those Batman Arkham games, aren't there anymore. And we don't have Kevin Conroy's not around anymore. Like, are these really going to be the same games that we played, last October? I don't really know if they can really get to that point again. But yeah, I'd like to see them try. Because the alternative is like we get another live service thing and it just kind of falls by the wayside again. So here's hoping in 5 years it turns out okay.
Yeah, I have like so many thoughts about this because I wonder, like, at some point, Suicide Squad had to be Rocksteady's idea, right? They were done with the Arkham games. They wanted to try something new. And like, I don't know at what point Jamie Walker and Sefton Hill left, but I assume that they were kind of like in the early days, it seemed like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was the next evolution of the Batman Arkham games. It seemed like, yeah, cool, 4 playable characters. You'll get to kind of traverse the city in a story driven way. That kind of seemed like a logical evolution from Batman Arkham, still set in the same world, but with new characters. And then it feels like whether it was before or after they left, but then we started to see what the game actually was, which was more like a looter shooter multiplayer online live service game, which is ultimately its downfall with a not great story, which we kind of saw in the like recent chapter releases. So I'm like wondering if that was just sort of the part where like the corporate interference became too much. Um, because in reality, I don't think it's a bad thing for Warner Brothers games to have these studios under them to be producing their IP. Like that's what Rocksteady was always doing with Batman. Warner Brothers Montreal did 2 Batman related games. Did they do anything else in between? I can't remember. What were they known for before this?
I'm trying to figure that out. I've been looking up like some information and I'm trying to find, I'm looking at, so it really started with Arkham Origins. Like before that, they did the Arkham City Wii U port, but
Right.
I think this was a new studio founded in 2010.
Okay. So they've got people there with the intention of licensing Batman slash DC. Similarly with like I think is it Avalanche who did Hogwarts Legacy?
Yeah,
Like if that's going
Avalanche.
to be their thing now, I can see like the logic in having these studios for the IP, like you were saying, Klein, but they're in house. Um, and so I think if they want to continue like with that strategy, it makes sense. I don't think that this is the end of the gaming division because that seems silly. They're too big of a company with too many big branded IPs to let it go to waste. It may just be that the people they need to get like if the people are no longer passionate about it or aren't the right fit, like we're seeing with Rocksteady that the devs were experienced in single player, like narrative driven stories, and then they were trying to be forced into this multiplayer platform that wasn't for them. Hence, a lot of them left. I don't blame them. So that's kind of a concern for Rocksteady going forward because if they now want to go back to this single player experience, who like did they get rid of most of that talent? Are the people on board now more on the multiplayer space? It's kind of confusing. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited that they're going back to Batman. I'm with you, Klein. I think the logical way forward is because the end of Arkham Knight was kind of definitive in a way, and I think it's good to leave that behind and let's do like kind of let's go far forward in the future. Let's go into a different comic book universe, but with the same gameplay kind of style. And I think Batman Beyond would be really cool for that. So let's hope that that's where it goes. I don't know. You guys want to talk about the next one?
Sure. Tom, do you want to do Wonder Woman or are you
Yeah,
feeling the
sure.
last one?
I'll jump to Wonder Woman. Yeah, so this was about Monolith's Wonder Woman game. So this part of the report just said one of Warner Brothers Games' biggest bets in development was a video game based on Wonder Woman, and that has struggled to coalesce, according to people familiar with the project. Early last year, it was rebooted and switched directors. The game has already cost more than $100 million, said the people who asked not to be identified discussing non-public information, and is still years away from release if it ever comes to market. An initial version of of Wonder Woman tried reimagining the Nemesis system, which was popularized by Shadow of Mordor, and also is like the sole copyright of Warner Brothers games, which is significant. With the game's namesake heroine befriending enemies, but that idea has since been tossed out in favor of a more traditional action adventure game. So if you're not familiar with the Nemesis system, is basically this kind of thing where you'd have like enemies and they would basically remember your actions and that would influence how they kind of interacted with you in the game. And Warner Brothers copyrighted this system, this idea, but it's or patented. I'm not sure what the correct legal jargon is. But yeah, no one else can use this. And since Shadow of War, they haven't made it like they haven't made use of it in a game. So this like really cool idea has just been sitting by the wayside. And, like not a lot of people, no one can use it. So it's kind of crazy now that this Wonder Woman game isn't even going to use it anymore either. Um, so this is just fascinating to me because this Wonder Woman project, I hope it comes to fruition because I like the idea of like a Wonder Woman game. Like I feel like she deserves her own game after all this time. Um, but like apparently when the game was initially announced, there was no like real idea behind it, like that teaser trailer.
Mm.
So it's just wild to get to this point and like it being $100 million like down, and we've not really seen much from it other than some like concept art that's kind of floated around on social media and stuff. But yeah, what do you guys think, Lauren? Or what do you make of the Wonder Woman of it all?
Yeah, well, I was excited for there to be a Wonder Woman game. I'm kind of excited for any like new superhero game to see what like these studios do with it that makes it new. But if you can't sort of like nail the formula to make it right, like I don't think you should be trying to force it. It surprises me, and I think this is going to be like the through line through this whole report, that they took the Wonder Woman IP and tried to run with it, and instead of doing something like a Shadow of Mordor 2 or another Lord of the Rings game or something like that, like again, it's like don't try and force these systems where they don't belong. And I'm not familiar with the Nemesis system, but it sounds like they were trying to make it like a friendly Nemesis system, and I'm kind of like, well, how does that work? Um, if it's for like enemy boss battles or and things like that, how can you go around befriending enemies? Maybe this would have been the next evolution of the system and they tried it and it didn't work. And honestly, if that's the case, like good for them for trying. But I'm concerned in the reality that we live with, that $100 million is just going to like end the studio instead of giving them more time to like test and trial things. So yeah, I'll wait until the next story is done. But I think I'm seeing like a common theme through this report and at Warner Brothers games.
Yeah, definitely seems a bit messy. And like, yeah, with the Nemesis system, yeah, maybe they tried something and it didn't work out. But it is look, I love a good action adventure game. But it does in some ways it like makes me feel like I wish there was like maybe there is some ambition to it, but I wish there was like something like a little bit different, like shaking it up a little bit with this game. But yeah, Klein, what do you think about Wonder Woman?
I'm kind of where Lauren is. I think I'm where you are, Tom. I'm where I think much of the internet is. I'm just like, why did we announce this game? Like,
Yeah.
it really does seem, I feel the same way
Shareholders.
about EA's Iron Man game. I feel the same way about, I guess, EA's other Black Panther game as well. Um,
Yeah.
it's just like if these were literally just like we are making a Wonder Woman game. And that is all we had at that point. Maybe there was some scribbles on a whiteboard. It certainly feels that way. That Wonder Woman was announced at the Game Awards in 2021, which just puts that into perspective, 4 years ago. And then according to this report was like completely rebooted from the ground up in 2023. So like I'm I don't know. I wanted more Nemesis system stuff. I loved Shadow of Mordor. Shadow of War, the sequel, was just as good. There were some issues with that, with like monetization and things like that in that game. But I think the Nemesis system is so cool, and having this kind of tree of villains, and when you take one of them out, someone moves up into like the next rank, and you're just like you're getting to know these villains. And I thought forever it would work so well in like a superhero game, specifically something like Batman, where you know the villains. My only issue is like, yeah, I was excited about Wonder Woman bringing in the Nemesis system. Is even even me, who I love, like I'm a DC Comics fan before a Marvel Comics fan. Um, I can't name you 5 Wonder Woman villains is the issue. And so I think like even from the beginning, I was a little bit hesitant about the idea of them bringing in the Nemesis system to Wonder Woman and her rogues gallery. Like, but I was still excited because we're going to get more. We were going to get more of it. And now we're not going to get more of it from this game if we get this game at all. It's just like, I don't know. Like what this really screams to me. You look back 2021, the last couple of years of Warner Brothers, and sure, the film division now we'll see what happens with Superman, but like the last few years with Warner Brothers as a whole has been very just like we need good vibes, and so we're announcing stuff and we're just like we're trying to really hype up the brand. And so like that this whole announcement of Wonder Woman 4 years ago really screams to me of like a Warner Brothers of that time. But I'm just like, come on, like what are we doing?
Yeah. So the final piece out of this report, he went through all of the studios under Warner Brothers, is banner. And that also, I'll just shout out, like, there's, I think Avalanche was part of that, and that the reveal out of that is that they're making Hogwarts Legacy DLC and a second game. No
Surprise,
surprises
surprise.
there. Yeah, it was one of the, I think, the best-selling game of 2023. So of course, like, that's one rare win for them in this report. But the other studio was Warner Brothers Montreal, who we've brought up today, and basically it was just a small kind of bit of information because we actually haven't seen much from them since Gotham Knights. But apparently, the studio initially pitched a John Constantine game, but then I think they remained non-committal about it, and the studio remained non-committal, so that kind of never eventuated. And then instead, it sounds like Warner Brothers came to them with, how about you make a game about the Flash? And they started doing that. And then the movie bombed at the box office and people lost interest in the Flash. So that was scrapped. And now it seems that they're working on a pitch for a new Game of Thrones game. So it's all over the place at Warner Brothers Montreal, and I really don't know what direction they'll end up going. It's interesting because they were kind of, for a while, they're like Rocksteady's side piece. They were making Arkham Origins, and then they made Gotham Knights, which was kind of semi Arkham Origins again. So I can see why they're kind of lacking direction if like that was their thing, but they're not really Rocksteady, so they couldn't take on Batman. And the next thing is like, okay, well, the Flash didn't work, and so now they're pivoting to Game of Thrones. Like, I would play a really cool immersive Game of Thrones game from them if they can pull it off. But yeah, my whole thinking about this entire report now is that it just seems like Warner Brothers wants a factory for studios to make games on its IP. That seems logical to me. You've got the big brands, you may as well use it. But I think that they are forcing things on these studios that just don't fit correctly. Whereas, like we said with Marvel, like, they go to Insomniac and they've nailed the Spider-Man thing. They go to Arcane. Cool, you want to do Blade? That works. And it seems like these studios just aren't the right fit for the sorts of things that they want. And then also you have, like, and this isn't just Warner Brothers, but a lot of studios coming in being like, needs to be live service, needs to be multiplayer, needs to be online. And a lot of people just don't want that, particularly with these brands. So I think it being a mess is the right word. But what do we think of Warner Brothers Montreal? Would we have been interested in a Flash or a John Constantine game? Either of you?
Well, I don't know if you guys have seen this this video of like an Unreal Engine 5 Flash game test demo sort of thing, but it's basically like a video of like a Flash model. And what they've done is like it's him running, but they've just sped up the footage. So he's just running like really quickly, and it looks so like goofy. I don't want that. I wouldn't want that to be the game. But yeah, I just don't know how that would work in terms of. I guess now with like modern hardware, you could maybe like fast loading, you could maybe like accommodate for that sort of traversal in a game. But I struggle to figure out how like
What if it was
that
a roguelike?
works.
What if he was doing like Flash does, messing with time?
That would be kind of
Oh, and
cool.
each time you get faster.
Sure.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. Here we go.
Uh,
So we've got to
but
pitch Warner Brothers.
yeah, I mean, potentially. I mean, maybe now they would like consider that, but I don't know if Warner Brothers would look at like a roguelike and be like, oh, do we really want to fund all this money into like that kind of genre? We wanted like a open world thing,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, it
But
does
maybe
seem
that's the direction they need to go in, right? Maybe they need to have the
that's what.
indie
Yeah,
outlook. Let's try something smaller, maybe divide our teams and tackle multiple things at once. Like, let them have
Hmm.
creative freedom a little bit. I just don't
yeah.
know who's in charge.
There's what was that initiative that's like based like Game of Thrones was part of it, but like it was this initiative from like a studio or something, and they were like basically like give us your IP and we'll give it to like an indie dev, and they'll like make a like cool idea
Oh,
for a game.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
We talked about that. I can't remember the like initiative for it, but
is it a Devolver initiative?
it might be.
One of those big
Yeah,
indie publishers. I know exactly what you're talking about, where it's like, yeah,
yeah.
pairing these indie developers with IP. And yeah, oh my gosh, Tom, you struck a chord there. I know
Let
exactly
me
what you're
just
talking about, but
make
I
sure
forget
I
the
find
name.
it. But yeah, do something like that. Just give. I think it makes a bit more sense to like give to not put all your eggs in one basket. Like the investment in like an indie is way less than you would like a AAA thing, and potentially you make like a bigger splash if the game is good.
Yeah.
So maybe try something like that. I'm trying to find the Big Fan Games. It was Devolver Digital. There was their publishing label, Big Fan Games, and it's basically like we said, giving these IPs to indie studios and seeing what they do with them.
Mm.
Maybe that's the direction Warner Brothers goes, but Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of depressing. I mean, like, I think the idea of a John Constantine game, if they can make it work, like, I think that'd be kind of cool if they made it
Mm.
like grungy and like go to that kind of dark magic area. So it's a shame that like Warner Brothers looked at that and was like, yeah, we don't really want to do that because if yeah, like you said, Lauren, if the studio is passionate about it and like they make a good game, I'm sure people would flock to it. So I don't know.
Klein, any final thoughts?
The only thing I'll add is the Flash movie twist is just like that. Makes me so mad. It's like, sure, the movie bombed. It doesn't mean the game's going to be bad. Like,
Yeah.
we got a lot of bad Batman
Yeah.
movies throughout the whole time that the Arkham series was coming out, and they continued to be good games. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think potentially if they want to do brand synergy, it seems like a lot of the Warner Brothers games divisions or studios are in a little bit of a state of flux right now. So if they wanted to sit there and go, we're relaunching ourselves along with the new DCU, and it's and you can kind of like build that like connected kind of universe where there are movies coming out and then the movies tie into the games and that kind of thing. That could be a way forward. It's just that obviously games take a lot longer. So they would need to be really forward thinking and be quite solid on their plans and what DC Studios is doing. But that could be a really cool direction.
There was talk right when they announced the DCU at the very beginning. They like James Gunn was very clear. It's going to include TV, movies, animation, and video games. He has since kind of like walked back the video game part of that conversation, but that was in the pitch from the very beginning. So who knows?
We just need a really good Superman game. I'm still waiting for that. And I think
We got
like
one
with
on Nintendo
Unreal,
64. It's flying through the rings.
sure.
No, we need a better one than that. Come on,
Yeah. But
please.
with Unreal Engine 5, like this technology I'm sure is
Mhm.
there. You just need a good developer to come in and like make the mechanics work and it would
Mhm.
be as fun as playing Spider-Man.
The issue is, Lauren, if you start one today, it's going to be 5 years before we ever see it.
That's
Right?
cool. I'll wait.
I know. It is just like Warner Brothers. You look at this slate right now. They just got a Mortal Kombat game out last year. We got Suicide Squad. Hogwarts Legacy was 2 years ago now. Things look barren for the next few years from them, and that's not, as a publisher, that is not what you want. If all of these games had come to fruition in the way that they should have from the very beginning, it would have been like a constant churn of every year we're getting some big Warner Brothers game. But I think for the next at least probably 3 until we get a Hogwarts Legacy sequel or the next Mortal Kombat game, we're kind of hooped.
Look forward to some mobile games coming from Warner Brothers games
Mhm.
like in the next few years because I think that's
Multiverses
all we're
2.
gonna get. I mean, that's some people want that. Some people want that.
We'll do one more story and then we'll get into the Nintendo Switch Hall of Fame. I just wanted to check in with you guys because we got a GTA 6 update this week. There was lots of talk about will we get one? Take-Two is having an earnings call, and they did kind of talk about it a little bit. This is from Wesley Yinpool at IGN. GTA 6 is still set for release in fall 2025. Parent company Take-Two has insisted. Reporting its third quarter ending December 31st, 2024 financial results, the Rockstar-owned owner listed GTA 6 for fall 2025 on PS5 and Xbox Series X/S. They also had a quote with IGN before the earnings call, just like mere moments before the earnings call started. And this is from Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, who said that while there is, quote, always a risk of slippage, the company, quote, feels really good about fall 2025. I just want to ask the simple question. Do we believe them? Do you think that this do we think that this game is going to end up coming out in 2026? They still haven't provided a date. They're just saying fall 2025. The last two big Rockstar games, Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto 5, both had delays. Red Dead had technically two public ones. I just want to know, do you guys think is it going to happen? Am I going to get the fantasy critic points? Really is what I'm looking for. Tom Drew, who notably did the counter pick to my GTA 6 pick. Do you think it's coming in 2025? Do you
Well,
believe him?
this is the thing that my brain is like, oh, yeah, it's coming, but the fantasy critic in me is like, delay it, delay it, delay it. No, I don't know why. I am kind of inclined to believe them. I do feel like it's going to come out this year. I just have a feeling, and maybe that's misguided, but um, I feel like we'd hear a different quote. Like if there was like like if I think he'd be a bit more cagey if it was like Like, I don't know, maybe it could get delayed. I don't know, but I don't know. They seem like relatively confident. The game's been developed for so long. I feel like it's gonna happen. I could be wrong, but I feel like if I put my money on it, I'm gonna say it's coming out this year.
I think especially with these quotes, I agree with you, especially given how big of a financial whale that GTA 6 is. Like, you don't mess around talking about this game to shareholders. And so if they're saying fall 2025, they genuinely believe fall 2025 right now, because if if it was getting moved, that is literally billions of dollars not coming into the company this year, and that is something that I think shareholders would be interested in knowing about.
Yeah.
But I don't know, Lauren, what do you think? Is it happening?
I think this quote is just like Rockstar covering or Take Two covering themselves. They're like, yeah, we think it's coming out this day, but hey, there's a chance it might be delayed. Of course, that's what they're going to say. Because, like, what, yeah, this is like literally they know anything that they say is going to be taken into the media and like deconstructed by fans. And I do think like we're like, this is what the media does. This is what fans do when you're desperate for news about something, when you're really excited, is that you do look at every kind of like granular piece of information, hoping. But right now, it's all speculation. They'll release it when they release it. But I do think it is going to be this year.
My question, that I know we've talked about delays and stuff like that. My question is, why shouldn't it release this year? As you said, Tom, it's been 2013 was the last time this team put out a game. Sure, they've been updating GTA Online and stuff since then, but like, why should it be this year? I think the only reason we think it's going to get delayed is because that's just what happens to games of this size these days. But not
Yeah,
all
which
of
means
them.
they might have learned this time, and actually they're
Right.
really, really far into development. Maybe it's already gold, and they're just like allowing time to fix things up before it gets shipped in full. Like we don't know when the leaks came out. What year was that? 2020.
21?
It was still pretty decent shape when those leaks came out. Like work had been done on it. So I
Mhm.
think that yeah, they just don't want to put a date on it because they don't want to do a Red Dead Redemption or a Cyberpunk where it's like disappointing everyone when it gets delayed. Even Assassin's Creed like being delayed a week before it was supposed to release. Like I just think they don't want to disappoint people, which is why we don't have another trailer or a release date for it right now.
Mhm. I'm excited. I'm gonna get those points, Tom, and I'll ride it all the way to another
And then I'll get the
fantasy
prediction.
Premier victory. Yeah, then you'll get the prediction, Lauren.
I'll get
That's
nothing.
gonna do it for the news we choose. Tom Drew, give us that outro.
It's the news we choose. Yeah.
We now turn our gaze, our eyes, not to the Nintendo Switch 2. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that, I'm sure. We just got news this week. 6 a.m., April 2nd, Pacific time. Don't know what that is in England. Don't know what that is in Australia. I know we've got lots of Australians listening. It's early for me, all I know, and I'll be up watching Nintendo Switch 2 news. But we thought with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming later this year, May, June, who knows, we thought we would do a Nintendo Switch Hall of Fame. We haven't done a Hall of Fame in quite a while. We've done it for, I think, Tom, before we were recording, you said we did one for the Wii U. We've done superhero games. Basically, how this works is we take a look at a genre, we take a look at a developer, a console, really anything, and we make a list of 5, 7, 10. Today we're doing 10 games that define that thing. Think of it as like an extended Mount Rushmore, a super Mount Rushmore of sorts, of these like definitive games for that thing. So we thought with the Switch 2 coming, we would do it for the Nintendo Switch 1. Just a bit of background, I guess. Nintendo Switch 1, it's almost over. Generation is almost done. It's been 7 years almost since the console came out. It is now one of the best-selling video game consoles of all time. Nintendo just released financial results from last year, and they continue. This, like, it's things have definitely slowed down, but I think there was something like in the last quarter of last year, like 8 million more Nintendo Switches sold. And it's like, where are these people coming from? If you don't have one, like also the Switch 2 is coming. Like, I don't know, but it's been a crazy generation for Nintendo, which is wild, coming off of the roller coaster, I'll call it, of the Wii U generation that I know I embarked on with Nintendo. Tom, you were a Wii U owner as well, right?
I was indeed.
Yeah.
I was
And
in the
it looked dire
trenches.
there. I remember back then, all the conversation was about, but they have so much money. It doesn't matter that they're losing money. They're never going to go away. Like they've got so much stored in the bank. And then the Switch came and they just flew right back to the top of the gaming world again. That Switch, it's provided a lot of great experiences. Does it sound like mine, at least sound like it's wheezing every time I turn it on these days? Yeah, it kind of does, but I liked it. Before we get into the like Hall of Fame of it all itself, I want to ask the two of you, how would you describe your feelings about the Nintendo Switch One, the Nintendo Switch original, the OG generation? How did you come upon it? Were you there from day one? Like, how are you feeling about this latest Nintendo console as we head into the next gen for them? Lauren, what are you thinking?
Well, I feel like everyone's probably heard my story about the Switch, but in case there's anybody new, I came to this console very late. I got one in 2021, I think. Um, and kind of it was to play Animal Crossing, but I was still like a year late to that. Everyone had already completed their islands and moved on, but for some reason, I had to play Animal Crossing at that time in my life, so I bought a Switch. Um, and like I've loved it since. I can't say that it's replaced, like become my main console, like beyond my PlayStation, but I have loved having a handheld again because as a kid I was a big like handheld gamer. I had a Game Boy, um, had the PSP, the PS Vita, so I did always like that. And then PlayStation didn't really release another handheld since the Vita, and so having like a really, I suppose, like good handheld back in my life was nice. And I actually then eventually got the Switch OLED, and that was like, oh, like I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty big upgrade just in the screen, and I've really enjoyed my time with it. I think I often underestimate the Switch because I've never been drawn in by Nintendo's like mascots. Like I've never been a big Mario person, or Donkey Kong or anything like that. I did have a Wii. I did play some of those games, but I was just like, it's just because it was there, you know. I was never big on the Genesis and not the Genesis, the Nintendo 64 and the other ones. See, I don't know anything. So having the Switch has been like I think a great entry point into this Nintendo world for me. It's very accessible, and I like that I'm able to play some of the classics. Like we played Super Mario Odyssey, and I've played Mario Kart and those kinds of like staples. But I've been able to also play some games that I think would be better on handheld than on PlayStation, and so that's become like my device for that. So I really like it. And in terms of coming into the Switch 2 now, I think because I did kind of get it semi recently, I don't feel the need to like upgrade straight away, but you know, catch me after April 2 and I'll see what they're actually packing into that thing and then I'll make a decision.
Tom, I know you've been on the Switch train a little bit longer than Lauren, but where does your Switch journey start? And like, how are you feeling as we kind of wind down this latest Nintendo generation?
Yeah, as you kind of mentioned, I was a Wii U owner, a day one Wii U owner, so
Shout
it
out.
was
Day
it was
one?
rough. Day one,
Wow.
it was tough. We had Nintendo Land, Batman, Assassin's Creed 3 in a dream, and it was tough at launch. I'm not gonna lie. I remember like so soon after getting that thing, we're hearing about the Nintendo NX. We're hearing like what's the next console? The Nintendo
Remember the
NX.
leaked console, quote unquote, that leaked that was like this like weird oval shape and the whole front of it was
Yeah,
screen with these like two joysticks sticking out of the middle of the or like the sides of the screen, and people are
it's
analyzing
fa-
like there's no way the reflection on that could work that way. Like it has to be fake.
it was so like it's such a crazy time. And like look, I loved the Wii U and I will always love the Wii U for what it was. But there was always this feeling of being like looking to the prospects of the NX or the Switch and being like, oh, what is this next thing coming along? And eventually, like I like gave up on the Wii U. I was like, this console has no games on it. So I got a PS4. So I kind of ditched Nintendo for the longest time. So I didn't get a Switch at launch. I waited because I just wasn't. I was pretty sold on it, but like I just didn't want to get burned again. So when I finally got it, which was around like when Smash Ultimate came out, it was like a dream because all the big games that come out by that point, like Odyssey and Breath of the Wild, and Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. So I was playing all these games that had come out and just like having the best time. And honestly, like I think the Switch might be my favorite console of all time. I just love it. It boggles my mind still, like just this piece of technology. And look, it's old. Like the technology, it has lost its luster over the years. But I just think the package that you do get with it is just so strong. The portability of it, obviously, but the selection of games, which we will get onto, not even just the exclusives, but just how many different games you can play on this thing is astounding. Both Nintendo games and from third party developers. Third party developers really showed up for it. And obviously you can't play Elden Ring, I think the thing, but you can play a lot of other games. Um, so if you do get a Switch, you like have so much at your fingertips, which I just love. Um, Having said all that, obviously, I'm glad we're getting the Switch 2 this year because God, I need it and I will get it day one. But I'm really glad that Nintendo like found their footing with this console and was able to innovate and for it to pay off. Because I think portables are really important, and I love having a portable uh console on the go. And I can't wait to see where they take it from here because yeah, it's building on greatness. They really can only go up. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future.
And like adding to that, just on terms of like what other things the Switch can do, like the fact that it can go from handheld to docked and like be on your TV like a normal console is amazing. I know it doesn't output to like 4K or whatever, but that's such a great selling point that you only just need this small dock and you can like take it with you on holidays and have it on the big screen. And things like that. And also the Joy-Cons, like the movement things, they managed to like take that element of the Wii, which was really the big selling point of the Wii with the motion controls and things like that, and also pack it into a handheld. That's crazy. They really innovated.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the hybrid nature of it because both of you said the portability, but like you have to like it was mind-blowing that Nintendo was going to merge these two very separate branches. For a long time it was always like, okay, we have great games on portable, the Game Boy, the DS, Game Boy Color, all of that. And then we have great games on the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, but never shall the two meet. And there are some franchises that like were very like they were 10 out of 10 portable experiences, and but they would come to regular console. Like I think of like the Pokemon is the big one. Pokemon on the DS, Game Boy, all of that were these great RPGs, and then you were always getting this like almost like second class experience with the Pokemon games on the GameCube, on the Nintendo 64, on the Wii. Like those are some great games in there, but they were never full-fledged experiences. The fact that Nintendo merged these two identities and now it is just like we have a console. We have this hybrid that you can plug into your TV, you can take it with you, and it is all full, like I guess like console set games. Like they're not lesser than games. They are like I can play Skyrim on this thing, which blew my mind. I remember when they announced that. I came into the Switch about a year after it came out. I was very excited for the Switch as it was coming out. I vividly remember the day that announcement trailer dropped in fall 2016. I guess I was working at the college radio station that I was going to school for, and on one of the computer monitors in the studio, I had it up, and I was just like, "This is crazy! I can't wait to have a rooftop party with my friends and put down the kickstand and play Mario Kart." Like, it was just mind blowing to me. But obviously, that was my last kind of semester of college. And so when the console came out, it was March 2017. I was about to graduate, did not have the money to spend on a new video game console. So it was about a year later when I got a job and was living on my own. And I have loved my Nintendo Switch. It really got me back into being a Nintendo fan. I was a Nintendo fan first growing up. The Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, my GameCube, I loved that thing. I remember freaking out when I got a Wii that Christmas when it came out. And I had a Wii U, but the Wii U was like, I only owned, I think, 4 total games for my Wii U the entire lifespan I had it. It was Wind Waker HD, Mario Kart 8, Smash Brothers, and New Super Mario Bros. U. It was just the Nintendo machine. I played those games and that was it. And so getting back into it and really diving in with the Switch was just like so much fun, and exploring all these Wii U games that I hadn't touched before, and even some games from before that I hadn't touched before. Like I just last year played Skyward Sword for the first time on my Switch. I got to try the Xenoblade games for the first time on my Switch. It's been, again, like it isn't, I'm not going for my third party games on my Nintendo Switch, but there's been so many great indies and so many great Nintendo first party titles on the Switch that I think it's like, it might be my favorite console. There's certainly some of my favorite games ever on it. And I I can't wait for the Switch 2. The other day was over on the Steam website, and they've put up some refurbished Steam Decks that are like half price, and I was like looking at that and humming and hawing, but I'm like, no, I'm getting a Switch 2 this year. It's gonna be better than the Switch. I can't wait. The Switch
What do
yesterday, I
you
was
need a
playing
Steam Deck for? You have a PC
portable
and every
gaming.
other.
Portable
Okay.
gaming. But I'm getting a Switch 2, so it's okay. I was playing Balatro on my original Switch the other day, and it sounded like it was going to
I know
pass
where you
out.
live. You don't have to do public transport or anything. What do you need the portable for?
Yeah, I like sitting on the couch and playing. Like when we're watching the OC, I sit and play with Balatro. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I can't. Tom has his Pokemon
I'm saving you
cards.
from a poor financial decision.
It wouldn't be a poor financial decision. It just might not be the smartest financial decision. Okay, let's get into the Hall of Fame of it all. Basically, what we're going to do is these are not ranked in any particular order. We're going to assemble a set of 10 Switch games that we think define the Nintendo Switch. We have pretty much seen this console from front to back. We will get a couple more games. I don't know if Xenoblade Chronicles X is going to make this list. Metroid Prime 4 maybe, but that'll be Tom, I'm sorry. Don't furrow your
What do you
brow at me
mean?
like that. We've seen I will say the generation is pretty much over. We've seen basically all the amazing definitive games that are going to come to Switch at this point. So we're going to start. I think we'll start by going down the list of things that I think are just like obvious locks. Like no question, these have to be on the list. Lauren, you actually mentioned, I think, one of the very, very easy ones. I think just first off, probably the biggest game on the Nintendo Switch, not sales-wise because Mario Kart's insane. I think Animal Crossing, 100%, no questions, has to be like a definitive Nintendo Switch game.
It got me to buy a Switch, so I would agree. It was also one of those games that went like gangbusters thanks to the pandemic, and was how a lot of people spent their time during that uncertain time. I still play it to this day. I'm still renovating that island. It'll be
I was
ready
going to
one day.
ask. How's the
Still going.
renovation going? One day you'll
Mm.
finish it. We'll go move that bus and we can all explore. Maybe by the time the next Animal Crossing comes out.
Potentially,
Who
yeah.
could
I
say?
feel like this is like all leading up to like a video where we eventually and we're now gonna tour
Yeah.
Lauren's island.
We should
And
do
We
it's
an
should
gonna be
tour
so
each
episode
other's
fun.
islands. Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
no
that'd be
idea what my
fun.
island looks like. It's got so many weeds on it probably at
That's
this
always the
point.
best surprise.
Yeah, that's fun. I like
I
that.
think I don't know if I've touched my island since, if the game came out on a Friday, I think the Tuesday of that week.
Damn.
I think
So your renovations aren't over either.
No, definitely
Yeah.
not. I don't think I've finished. I don't even think I have the ability to renovate.
Yeah.
No, there's a few more that I think should be here, but Tom, do you want to
I
make
just
an
want to
Animal
say on
Crossing comment?
Animal Crossing, my entry point with this franchise was, well, I played a bit of Wild World, but really was New Leaf on the 3DS. So coming into New Horizons and like everything's in HD now, they've like expanded the island so much. You can put stuff outside, like, which is a game changer, like actual furniture outside. Yeah, this game it just holds a very special place in my heart. Not just because I have 700 hours in it, but because it really got me through a hard time. So I will always look back on this game really fondly. I can't wait to the next game because the game, it does have some things that I would like to change. The online is terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a really great entry into the franchise, and I'm really glad that it got so many people buying a Switch, like you, Lauren, and even like non-gamers. Like so many people I know bought like a console for the first time, and they never played a game before, but they picked it up just for this game. So I think that's really special. So yeah, can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, and we have actually shared. Firstly, if there's one game that would make me buy a Switch 2, it is them announcing another Animal Crossing. Like that's got to be the one Nintendo property that I'm just so excited for a sequel for. But also we have talked about what we would like to see in a new Animal Crossing. I think the video is up on our social pages, so if you were wondering what we said, go check that out.
There are a couple more that I think just like need to be on the list. Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. I'm gonna say I think Tears of the Kingdom is a better game, unless we think both. Tom,
so
you made a look.
I have some reasoning for what I'm leaning.
Okay.
No, not for both.
Okay.
Just for I have reasoning for Tears of the Kingdom. Well, one, because it's an amazing game, and it's just like
I think my favorite game ever.
It blows my mind that it exists and that it runs on the Switch. Like, it's insane. But looking back at our Wii U Hall of Fame, we did
Mhm.
pick Breath of the Wild. I feel like, and it's hard because Breath of the Wild does define the Switch more than it does the Wii U. I feel like,
Yeah.
but in my mind, I don't know. Tears of the
Also,
Kingdom.
this list I think is a lot. This list is a little more cutthroat than the Wii U Hall of Fame list, to put it respectfully.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna plant my flag in Tears of the Kingdom, but yeah,
Okay.
what do you think?
I think one of these should be on it. The reason I said Breath of the Wild was just because it was like it revolutionized Zelda. Like it
It did.
changed the franchise. Um Even just like not even from a gameplay perspective, from a sales and like public like knowledge perspective, people knew what Zelda was, but it was never like Zelda, Metroid. These franchises were never the big sales drivers for Nintendo consoles. It was always Mario and his friends and the Mario sports games. That was kind of it. That changed on the Switch. Anything you put out was a massive hit when it came to sales. And I think like Breath of the Wild was like super groundbreaking on that front. It completely changed the way people look at the franchise. But Tears of the Kingdom, I do think is the better game.
Yeah, Lauren, are you leaning any specific way?
I'm only leaning towards Breath of the Wild because that's the one I've played.
Yeah,
And when I bought a Switch, people were like, these are the three games you need. It's like Animal Crossing, Mario Kart, and Breath of the Wild.
It was
So
a
it kind of
launch
covers
game.
all your, yeah, it
yeah,
covers like all your bases basically. And I do really like it. I just find it like I still haven't finished it just because it's quite overwhelming as a
yeah,
game. But I do really, really like it. And I so I just don't have like I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, so I don't know how to compare it. And I feel like Breath of the Wild made a bigger impact when it came out versus Tears of the Kingdom. But I do like Tom's reasoning, which was that you had Breath of the Wild on the Wii U one, therefore like Tears of the Kingdom could get some love here. So
yeah. I'm
I'm on
I'm
the
maybe also
fence.
I'm maybe also going the other way now. Maybe it is Breath
Yeah.
of the Wild
Okay.
because
I think it should be
yeah,
Breath of the Wild.
just
Okay.
because like it was a Wii U game for the longest time. They put it on the Switch and we're like, what the hell? This game is on the Switch, which blew everyone's minds. Yeah, I think it is Breath of the Wild actually.
Listen, if we get to 10 and we need another one, we can put Tears of the Kingdom on
Yeah,
too.
why
I don't
not?
know if I don't think that'll be an issue. Um I'm gonna just like throw two out there. Mario Odyssey, yes,
Yeah,
agreed.
What's the
And
other one?
Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
yeah. It's gotta be for me. I think Mario Odyssey is the Mario game on here. Mario Bros. Wonder, I think, is like
That's something I was going to ask. Do we think that like I personally don't know if there's more than one Mario platformer on this list.
yeah, that's the thing for me as well. I really loved my
Wonder's
time with
great.
Mario Bros. Wonder, but I just feel like Odyssey did more. It's had more of an impact as well.
Mhm.
And if we have to have one on here, I think for me, it's got to be Odyssey.
Well, hang on. Before we get to Smash, then I want to throw in the other Mario, which is Mario Kart.
I
If we're
think that
having the
will
conversation
also
about Mario,
I think Mario Kart is complete like it's a completely different game. I think it is on this list as well. Even though it is a Wii U game, it also has a whole other game inside of it. Like it is they have
Yeah.
done so much updates. Like it is essentially a new Mario Kart game. It's the best selling thing on this console. I think there was some stat going around the other day that 1 in 7 Switch owners have Mario Kart, which is insane. That's absolutely crazy.
do you both have Mario Kart?
Oh yeah, I have Mario Kart. Tom definitely
Okay, so
has
two
Mario
and
Kart.
three
Yeah.
club hosts also have Mario Kart.
I think that Mario Kart should be on this list as well. I don't put that in the same category as the Mario platformers though.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So I would think Kart and Odyssey both go on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
3 and 4.
Okay. Yeah. 3 and 4. Now,
Although these are not ranked by number. We're just
they're not
counting.
ranked. No, it's just a
Yeah.
number on a list. Okay. Smash Brothers. Does anyone object to that?
Is
Before I
Smash
need to
Brothers
pick a
Ultimate the
case.
one that was released for the Switch, or was it also on the Wii? So that one
No,
was
it
Yeah.
was
just
just the Switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the culminant like it is there are definitely a lot of similarities to Wii U, art style, stuff like that, but Smash Ultimate is like it's the culmination of the Smash franchise. It's like I remember that trailer. It was a couple months after I got my Switch, and they're like, it started, and they just start showing characters, and I'm like, wow, it's almost like, wait, like everyone's everyone's here. And then on the screen it said everybody is here. And I was like, oh no, they are not. And every stage, every item, it's crazy. Would I have liked a better adventure mode? Yes. Does that take away from its greatness? No.
Yeah, I remember seeing the like direct or trailer. I like was I had to leave to go on a bus to Glasgow, but I like I left late because I was watching this like trailer, and while I was just my mind was just being blown by the fact that Snake was back, Pichu was here, like all these characters, Ice Climbers was back. After being like snubbed from the Wii U version, it was just such an exciting feeling, and I think why this game deserves to be here is that continued through so much of the Switch's lifespan because of the additional character reveals through like what like a direct would come along like who's the next Smash character reveal going to be. And I really that's one thing I really miss. Obviously, I think a lot of people do. But it just the hype cycle was so exciting, and that continued obviously with the DLC characters as well. And then we got Sora like at the very end of that. Yeah,
We got
Smash is just
Banjo.
such a... We got Banjo finally, Ridley, like all these like dream characters that people wanted for so long. Um, and it's just yeah, Smash is such a special franchise, but and Ultimate is the culmination of that. So yeah, I think it deserves to be here.
Okay. It's going on. That means we have 5. Those are the ones that I felt like 100% confident everyone would agree in. Now it gets interesting. I would like to propose a third-party game.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
I also
Hades.
had a proposal.
Okay.
I think a Pokemon game has to be on here.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
I just don't know which one.
Exactly.
There's so many of
Yeah.
them. I have a feeling about one of them. I haven't played that one.
Okay.
Well, firstly, it's not Scarlet and Violet. We can rule that out.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
Scarlet
not
and Violet,
Scarlet and Violet.
gone.
Yeah.
Red, doesn't matter. Who was
Uh,
she? We don't know.
I'm between two.
Okay.
Here. And it's Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
I
or
don't think it's
Pokemon
that
Le-
one.
Okay. And then the other one is Pokemon Legends Arceus.
You can make
But
a case.
I just want to say for Pokemon Legends, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, it isn't that one, and I don't think it is that one. But I really like that game. I think it's the
So do
second
I.
best. I think it's the second best Pokemon game on this list. Just because like it really simplified things, but in like a really fun and engaging way. I like the Pokemon Go like throwing aspect of that game. I thought it was fun. And maybe that's like Gen 1 bias or whatever, but like I thought it was a fun game. But yeah, I think Pokemon Legends Arceus would be the pick for me just because it's done so much for the franchise, and hopefully the next Legends game will also do something similar. The Pokemon franchise, I have such a love-hate relationship with it. It's probably my favorite gaming franchise. Like Klein just mentioned earlier, I'm collecting the cards now. We're in deep. But Legends Arceus really shook things up in a really stagnating formula for this franchise. And I love it for that. It's one of my favorite Pokemon games ever. Even though it's got its problems. But yeah, I know Lauren, you've played it as well. Do you feel similar? Is that what you're leaning?
So I remember now at the beginning when I was like, I had to get a Switch in 2021 for some reason, but I can't remember why. I remember now it was because I saw the trailer for Pokemon Legends Arceus and I was like, this is the game that I have to play it. It's like the dream Pokemon game. It's open world. There's so much wish fulfillment. And to be honest, I'd been off Pokemon since the Game Boy. Like I hadn't played many of those games. So personally, it's my pick, but I also haven't played any of the others to like put up a fight for them. I know from experience working in a games retailer that Pokemon Sword and Shield were insanely popular. Like people just come in and buy both.
Yeah.
So
they had packs that you could buy them together, like in one
Yeah.
box.
Yeah.
same with Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. They sold very, very well as well.
Pokemon in general. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how bad the game is. It doesn't matter if the game
Exactly.
barely runs. It's
But I like
just
that this
the easiest
one,
stamp.
like Tom was saying, like this one was the evolution for the game, and it was cool that that happened on the Switch.
That's the one I was gonna say. Is like that. I think that you want to talk like Nintendo Switch as a whole was a console of like kind of breaking boundaries for a lot of franchises. You saw it with Breath of the Wild. You saw it with even Super Mario Odyssey did something really different for the Mario formula. And this to me is like like in a formulaic franchise like Pokemon that had gotten so stagnant for so long, I was kind of like, are we ever going to see another big innovation that isn't like Giganta Mega Maxing or whatever the next like little battle quirk they throw in? And this to me was like, oh, they can do something different. We're getting another one of these this year, probably. I think we'll probably see it in the next couple of weeks during the Pokemon Presents that they usually do on Pokemon Days. So I think Legends Arceus has to be there. So that's 6th. As we have 6 there. We have 4 spots. I mentioned the name Hades. Does that ring a bell for anyone? Is that strike a chord for anyone? I just know,
The
like,
thing is, I
yeah,
didn't play Hades on the Switch.
you didn't?
No,
Oh,
I played it
really?
on
Oh,
PlayStation. And also, it was a Steam game to
Oh.
begin with.
it
So I just don't
was.
think it defines the Switch.
Okay.
But it can be up there as like a maybe.
Yeah. Okay. In
To it.
yellow.
So I
No.
did play on Switch.
Yeah.
So it
Go ahead.
does feel kind of like a Switch game to me. But yeah, it is kind of tough with this one. I mean, obviously, like Hades is an amazing game. And I think a lot of people did experience on the Switch. I think it is like very tailor made to the Switch experience because of it's a roguelike. You can do a run, pick it up, and then you get through. You'll inevitably die, get sent back to hell, and then put it down, and then you can do that over and over again. So I think it's very apt for the form factor of the Switch.
It
But yeah,
was
maybe.
Switch
Oh yeah,
first. Oh, like I did just take a look
that's true.
console wise.
That is
It
true.
was like 1.0 launched on Switch and PC at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in early access only on PC though.
Mm-hmm.
And then it came to PlayStation and Xbox later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
everything else.
has got that going for it.
It's in yellow. It's in yellow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Tom, is there
Can I
anything
throw
that?
something out there?
Yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
no, you
Lauren.
go, Tom. You haven't said one.
Okay.
I'm
This
scared.
is really.
I don't like the wild card energy that Tom brings to these, but
No one's
I'm gonna.
vetoed, so that's exciting.
I'm gonna say Clubhouse Games 51 Worldwide Classics. No, I'm not gonna say that game.
Tom, I wouldn't hate that. I think that
Come
game
on.
is like a yellow. I like
No, no, we're not picking that game. I kind of want to put a Metroid game on here.
Mhm.
And there weren't actually that many. There's not that many games to come out.
There's 2.
There's 2 because one of them isn't out yet at the time of recording. But I would go Metroid Dread just because that game. I just love it. It really. I was kind of like lukewarm on Metroidvanias for the longest time. I tried to get into like Metroid, and I just couldn't really get into it. Metroid Dread really changed that for me. I think the gameplay is just so solid. The movement of Samus, they've really refined her in that game, and it's super fun. Like those stealth kind of segments with the I can't remember to call them the weird robot guys. I just loved all of that. The exploration that factor of it, it looks great. Yeah, I think Dread really showed me the light, honestly, on Metroidvanias. And I'm desperate for another 2D Metroid to come out. So yeah, that's where I'd go. What do you guys think? Klein, have you played Metroid Dread?
No. And
What
I
the?
think I would love it.
What
Like
the
I think I
hell,
would
man?
absolutely love it because I love Metroidvanias. I think a Metroid game should also be on this list. From everything I hear about Metroid Dread, it is like it's the one. Like it is just it's so good.
It's so good.
Metroid Prime Remastered is an amazing game, but like
But it's a
It's a
surely a
GameCube.
Mario
remaster.
Kart, it's a GameCube game. Yeah, like it was an amazing game in 2001 or 3 or
Yeah.
2, whenever it came out. I think that
Yeah.
I can't justify putting it there. If it was a
I think because this
trilogy, if it
was
was a
the one that
remake,
was
maybe,
made
but
for the Switch, right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
Kind
It
of makes
was.
sense.
mhm. Okay. I think it should be there too, just because it is like you want to talk about another franchise that just did not sell at all
Yeah.
before
That's
the
the thing as
Switch, and it
well.
came out, and it's like that's the proof that you just put it on the Switch and people were gonna buy it. Okay, we have 3 spots left. Lauren, you said you had one that was in the chamber.
Yeah. I don't know how this is going to go down, but I was wondering if like a motion first game would be considered. So I'm thinking primarily of the Ring Fit Adventure. because that
Ooh.
was a really big thing at the beginning of the Switch's lifestyle, and it was
Yeah.
like
It's
because the
still a
Wii
really
had
big thing.
right, it had because
Yeah.
the Wii had the board and stuff that would like encourage fitness, and then this was kind
Hmm.
of the Switch's version of that. My alternative was Switch Sports, but I don't think that had a bigger impact than
No, Switch
Ring
Sports
Fit.
was like okay, like it was a great idea to try and recapture that
Mm,
Wii Sports kind of thing. But the benefit of
yeah, it
Wii
wasn't
Sports
the
was that
same.
everyone got it. Like everyone had Wii
Yes.
Sports, and so just immediately you could go bowling. I will say Switch Sports bowling rules. Switch Sports volleyball also a lot of fun. But Ring Fit Adventure was huge. I was actually hoping it would come up. I was going to be the one to bring it up, and I thought I would get laughed out of the room. I think Ring Fit Adventure is definitely a definitive Switch game.
I think so too. It's one of those games that it's like always in my like basket for like remind me later of this game, or of this item. And I like want to play it just because it genuinely looks like a fun game to play. But yeah, I think it's such a cool direction that they took that kind of fitness thing with, because yeah, the Wii Fit and Wii Sports of the kind of Wii era were really cool. But I think applying it to like an actual proper, not narrative, but like you're progressing through levels and you're trying to get through this thing. I thought it was really novel and cool, and yeah, I thought it was the idea, and this comes up a lot with different other peripherals, obviously. But like the ring con that is packed with the game, I think it's just cool that they have these different like peripherals, and they were able to get like kind of crazy with it. It's such a weird idea that it's like this flexible circle that you use to control your character in that game. So I think it's really cool. I think it deserves to be here, honestly.
And from memory, it was like really hard to get them for a while because it was
It
just
Yeah,
so
it
still
was.
popular.
it still is now. Like it's because it was so popular. The stock they had is kind of gone, and there's no back stock anywhere. And so people looking for like you can buy them for a couple $100 on eBay. Like they are quite pricey. And I think this is going to be sadly like this and like the Labo and stuff like that are going to be some of the few games that get left behind here that we will not be able to play on the Switch 2. They will not come forward because they are so heavily peripheral based.
Yeah, most likely.
Okay, 2 slots left. Something gets hard.
This is tough. This is tough.
Can I say the name even though I haven't played a lot of it? Fire Emblem Three Houses, is that?
That was where my mind was going. Just because like it is one of the, other than like Pokemon, obviously, one of the kind of biggest or the bigger RPGs on. It's obviously like a different type of RPG.
Mhm.
But on the Switch, like that's one of the big ones. I love Three Houses. I know you tried it, Klein, and you couldn't really get into it as
I
much.
need to I think I do need to give it another shot because even
Yeah,
right now playing Metaphor, I'm just like I love this rhythm of game. I love this like do like progress your stats, doing the like hang out with friends, going fishing, cooking, and then go out into the battle and the stuff that you did in your everyday like affects that. I just needed to figure out. I never really got a handle in the few hours I played of Fire Emblem. It was my first Fire Emblem game of the battle system, and like it's different than
it
most
is.
of the turn-based games I play. But
Yeah,
I would say if we like this is the definitive Switch RPG probably.
I think it is, and yeah, I love this game. I think the story's really good. I think there's like you kind of saying, all the characters that you interact with as you progress through the game is really fun. And like if you're not familiar with it, there are like three routes, or well, there are technically four routes, but like there are three main ones that you can take, and they all take kind of different turns, and kind of vastly different ones, depending on which one you go with. So there's just a lot of content and like replayability with this as well. It might be the best Fire Emblem game. I don't know. This and Awakening kind of go toe to toe, I think, at least for me. But yeah, I love it. I think it's very good, and I think
I
I'd like
think
it
for
to
right
be here.
now it might be a
Might
yellow.
be a yellow. Might be a yellow. That's fair. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like we just have 2 spots left, and I'm just like, look,
Yeah, there are a lot of other games. So
I would like to maybe trim it down a little to a couple yellows and like I don't
we can
want to
make the
put
case
something on
for
the
a,
list
a
and
couple more. Yeah.
Okay, I have a suggestion that's not on the list.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Hollow Knight was not
interesting.
a first party game, but I
Mhm.
feel like is where it gained most of its success was on the portable side of
On the
things, which was
Switch.
mainly the Switch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that if we were to, my thinking when we came into this was the Switch has been such an indie machine. It took
Mm.
it took that like moniker that the PlayStation 4 had before it, the Xbox 360 had before it, where it was the home of indie games. If you wanted to be a successful indie on the Switch, or a successful indie, basically, if you put it on Switch and it was good, people would find your game. I think Hollow Knight is definitely in that conversation. I think Hades is another one I would put there. I think Celeste as well. It's just like what represents Stardew. I might even throw there as well because I know a lot of people played Stardew on the Switch. It's just like
Yeah.
what I think that this list needs an indie rep. It's just a matter of like what game do we want that indie rep to be.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. Like the eShop like has so many. Like I was kind of saying, like there's so much to choose from, and especially the indies. Like they had such a home here. And yeah, because of the portable nature, I think it just like was tailor made for a lot of these games, like Hollow Knight, which I play on Switch. Similar to like a roguelike. Like I think a Metroidvania is really good for a portable console because you can just like do a little bit, explore a little bit, and then be like, okay, I'm done, and then you come back to it later. Um, and I really love that with Hollow Knight. Yeah, I think of the ones we have mentioned, I'd probably lean most towards that. But
Towards
that's
Hollow Knight?
that's what, yeah, that's where my
Yeah,
head's
I'm
going
not
there.
against like I'm not against Hollow Knight. I just wanted to say that like yeah, I think it's smart that we do bring up an indie to be here,
Yeah,
whether it's
for
Hollow
sure.
Knight, whether it's Hades, whether that if you guys think that Hollow Knight to you is like more definitively Switch, I think that like putting Hollow Knight on this list, one of the greatest Metroidvanias of all time, I'm not opposed to that at all.
Yeah,
My vote's for
Mhm.
Hollow Knight. I also
Okay.
want to say about Stardew. I really thought about that as well for this list. I think it does probably deserve that spot there if we're doing 20. But because of its similarity to Animal Crossing in being
Mhm.
like a farming sim, I feel like for these purposes we could take it out. Whereas Hollow Knight slash Hades are kind of more in the same vein.
yeah. And Hollow Knight's kind of a Souls-like as well in some ways, so that's kind of got that representation there too. So
You can play Souls games on the Switch, which is crazy. I think Dark Souls
yeah,
2 or Dark Souls 1 is on Switch,
yeah.
which
Dark
is
Souls
like this.
remastered. They released an amiibo from for Dark Souls. It's crazy.
So we have 9. Hollow Knight is
Yeah,
there, I think. Just like we need an indie. It's just a matter of which one. I think Hollow Knight is on that list. So we have one more spot.
yeah.
Do we want to look at the
Yeah.
maybes? Does anyone want to make a case for anything else?
Well, Klein, you've written down one of the games here, and I think it's very fascinating. I just want to talk about it. I don't know if we're going to pick it or
Yeah.
not, but I think it's fascinating. Tetris 99 is,
This was
I
this was a
think,
moment.
there's a case for it. There's a
Hmm.
case for it. It you could argue it's one of the best battle royales of all time.
It's
Uh,
it might be my most played battle royale.
really, that's. I mean, it's a lot of fun. And if you're not familiar, Tetris 99 is basically like you're playing Tetris against basically 99 other players, and you're trying to knock out as many people as you can to
By
become the
clearing
number one.
lines, throwing
Yeah,
lines to the other people.
and it's really addictive and fun. And I'm surprised it kind of stuck around because it was kind of announced out of nowhere. I think it's still like only like a Nintendo Switch Online kind of exclusive game. But the novelty of it, I think, is just really cool. And it kind of spawned these other games like F-Zero 99 and Super Mario 35, which was like the Super Mario game where you played the original Super Mario Brothers against other people online, and would try to get as far as you can and beat all these other people. But it was also one of those games which was like a limited time thing because it's part of Mario's 35th anniversary. So that game like only survived like a couple months, which is crazy. Um, but yeah, it all came from Tetris 99. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know if it's gonna make it, but I do think it's maybe. It's interesting. It's an interesting one.
I think it's definitely a game that defined the Switch, just as it one of the 10 that most defined it, right?
Yeah,
It's like was I think it might be probably not my most played Switch game, but it'd be surprising how high up it would be. Like I played a lot of Tetris 99, and that was like it was a moment when that came out. People were like, "Oh, I didn't know that the battle royale genre could look like this. Like we could take Tetris, the like not the simplest of games ever, but we've seen Tetris before, and they did something like kind of completely different with it and made it this multiplayer competitive thing with you and 99 other people. Yeah, it is. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad I had it on there. I was just like, I was just throwing stuff against the wall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make an alternate case because
Yeah.
this is the last spot.
Yeah, Laura.
I'm looking at our list. We've got a lot of genres covered, but I feel like we don't have like a party game, which I think is something that the Switch is very good at.
Switch has
So
done
I'm
very
thinking
well.
something along the lines of like Mario Party, I guess, or even like Overcooked, yeah, or even something like Just Dance could be an option. Something that it's like, oh, I'm having my friends, apart from Mario Kart, which I would consider as more of like a racing game in its own right. We don't really have any that are like, oh, I'm going to break this out with my friends and play it.
Yeah, there's also like Ultimate Chicken Horse. I don't know if you guys know that game where you're basically like building a level to get to a fixed point, and you're playing with against your friends, so you can basically sabotage your each other with like booby traps and stuff, and you have to try and get to like a certain point in a level, which I think is pretty cool. Which is also an indie.
Is that's like that would fill that? I don't think it deserves to be there, but
which one?
Yeah,
Arms.
I have no idea what that is.
It was a Nintendo first party like multiplayer fighting game with these characters with big springy arms.
It was,
okay.
Splatoon 3.
I was thinking about Splatoon was one where I was thinking about it. And the reason I'm maybe not leaning Splatoon, which might upset some people, but I feel like Splatoon really defined the Wii U because it was like a new IP. Like Nintendo
So
was like,
Arms should be on here, is what I'm hearing.
Okay, hold on. But no, like Splatoon, like really filled a niche on Wii U and like really flourished, and obviously found way more success on the Switch. But to me, in my head, I just associate the Splatoon a bit more with the Wii U. But that's just me. Yeah, maybe Arms.
It's a
You're right.
conversation to think about. It's, do we want this to be the like? Do we want it to cover every genre? Do we want it to be a definitive here, like the 10 best, no matter what? Like, do we need a party game on here? I think we would be just in putting a party game on here. The Nintendo Switch has kind of taken us back a little bit to the like N64 era. Like it is the party console, but it's just like, what do we throw in there? I might even include Smash in that party game like bucket. Because it's one of those fighting games that anyone can pick up and play and have fun.
Yeah, Mario Kart 8 also kind of, you're getting people around, or people can jump into that. This is tough.
Does anyone want to make a case for anything else?
I mean,
Mario
you mentioned
Maker 2?
Xenoblade.
Xenoblade's not making it on here. I'm sorry.
What the hell, man? Come on. No, I'm just kidding. The thing is, for me, my favorite is Xenoblade Chronicles X. That game isn't even out yet at the time of recording it on the Switch. I have like a hard time with 2. I like aspects of the game, and I haven't played 3, which people really love. But yeah,
3 is the
Mario
only
Maker
one
2.
I played.
Yeah, Mario Maker 2. I think we kind of talked about this a couple episodes ago with Brian Shea, our guest, and we were talking about Mario Maker, and I like Mario Maker, but I don't know if the Switch was the best place for Mario Maker. I think the Wii U was better.
Having the
gamepad
gamepad was huge. Having the gamepad and being able to touch that screen to build levels really helped. I think that if we do a Switch, or not a Switch 3, a Mario Maker 3 on the Switch 2 with that mouse functionality, I think that'll be great. But that's why I don't think it. I played a lot of Mario Maker 2, but I don't know if it would be on the Switch Hall of Fame.
What about Persona?
I was thinking about that, but those are like games that came to Switch, right? Like I
Okay.
would, if we were doing like a Vita Hall of Fame, I might put Persona 4 on there. A PlayStation 4 Hall of Fame, I might put Persona 5 on there. But the Persona games were like they were PlayStation games, and then they came to Xbox and Switch at the same time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think like the thing with Persona is like for like I mean the big thing with Persona was like when Smash Ultimate's DLC was getting announced, like Joker was the first
Mm-hmm.
uh announced character for that, and people were like, what the hell, like this guy's not even in a Nintendo like rep. So like I think that almost spurred on like the association of Persona with Nintendo. um so yeah, maybe the Switch 2 Persona like will
Mm-hmm.
be a bit more hand in hand, but yeah, I'm not sure.
Tom, can I ask you, because I think you're the only one that's played it, how good is Mario Party Jamboree?
I think it's really good, honestly. Like
Would you
I
say it's like I love Mario Party. I love it. Mario
yeah.
Party Superstars on the Switch, I played so much. My family, it gets intense. Would you put like would if Jamboree were to be on this list, would that be crazy? Would the internet laugh us out of the room?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think it's one of the best Mario parties they've ever made. I think it has the right level of bullshittery. They've nailed that in the game. You can screw over people so well. I think the mini games they bounce that really well. They're all there's the kind of luck based stuff versus the skill based stuff. Versus like the the weird gimmicky stuff with the motion controls. I think they've kind of nailed all of that stuff. The boards are all really good. There's a lot of content in it too, like there's stuff I haven't even touched, like the Coopathlon or whatever. I don't really even know what that mode entails, but they've got a lot of content in the game. So I think it has legs. Because it is really good and a lot of fun. If we're in the same room at some point in the future, we got to play it because
I want to
it's
get
so
it. I want to
incredible.
play it. I
Yeah,
will. It just
yeah.
is a matter of time. Do
So
you Cuz that could fill that party void
yeah,
Lauren was
I
talking
I
about.
I could I could see that. I could see that. Yeah,
Lauren,
I
you
wouldn't be
muted
opposed
by the way.
to it.
Whoops. I think I'm backing one of the party games.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should do Jamboree. If you feel like that have you played Superstars?
Oh, me? Yeah, I
Yeah.
played Superstars. That was
Cuz you're
good.
the only one that
That was
has
good.
comparison. Like would you like
I think it's better than Superstars.
okay.
Yeah. So
I think
Okay.
Mario Party makes this list.
yeah.
Okay.
Non Nintendo Labo? What do you mean? Not
I
the
thought
Toy-Con?
if Ring Fit didn't get brought up, I would have brought up Labo because it is like it's not nothing. I don't know. Like it was it's a
It was
bespoke
interesting.
experience that you can only experience on the Switch.
It's so crazy that we got VR with Labo, and it was
Mhm.
literally just like putting the Switch on your face, and you could
I'd be
play Breath of the
interested to
Wild and
know
Odyssey
if
with
the
it.
Labo VR kit sold more than the PlayStation VR 2.
It probably did, which is crazy. um,
Okay,
yeah.
that's our 10. I'll run down the list. We'll get out of here. The Nintendo Switch Hall of Fame is as stands, and we may have to revise it. Who knows? Metroid Prime 4 could come out and just completely shake up the game. Pokemon Za could you'll be like Legends Arceus who? We have Animal Crossing New Horizons, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Metroid Dread, Ring Fit Adventure, Hollow Knight, and Super Mario Party Jamboree. I feel good about that. What about you guys?
I think so. I
Nods of
think it's
approval.
pretty balanced overall. So yeah, I think we did
Mhm.
good.
I'm surprised with how many I've played. I feel good about it.
See, Lauren, you're a Nintendo fan. You're a Switch owner.
Yeah,
Look at you go.
yeah.
Okay, that's the Nintendo Switch Hall of Fame. Now let's get into what we've been playing. We can end the show here. What have we been playing over the last week? Anything exciting? All I have is more Metaphor. This game is just consuming me. Played a little bit of Balatro as well. That game also will never go away, but it's just been more Metaphor, so I will not take up too much time.
Yeah, I mean, similar for me. It's just been Okami. I haven't really had much time for anything else. What I will say, without giving away my thoughts on the game, too much because we're going to talk about it later in the month for our New Game Plus discussion. But I have done this like optional side quest, and it's completely optional. You don't need to do it at all. But I did it because just for the fact that I wanted to say I did it. There's this like side quest where you have to roll 3 like spheres up a hill to give to this bear, and they progressively get like heavier and so like they're really slippery, and the physics are just infuriating. You're pushing them up this hill. On one side there's a big wall, so you can push it against the wall and it won't fall. But on the other side is a sheer cliff. So if you push it off the sheer cliff, it just goes and you have to start over again. And it was infuriating, but I did it. And yeah, I just want to pat myself on the back for that because
You're like,
it
what's
was
his name?
terrible.
Hespicius, the Greek or Roman
Hephaestus,
legend of the
yeah.
guy. Yes.
Yeah,
Rolling
yeah.
Oh
up,
no,
rolling
no, Hephaestus is the god, but I know who you mean.
Yeah,
Sisyphus.
Yes.
rolling the ball up the hill. There's a
Yeah.
game, like a Steam game that came out last year where that is like it's just one of those
Yeah.
super hard like
Mm-hmm.
platformers
Podium
where you are
game.
just rolling a ball up the hill.
Yeah.
And it looks miserable. Lauren, have you been playing anything, or has it also just been Okami?
I'll be honest, the PlayStation was not out of the box for most of the week, so yeah, it's a short what we've been playing this week when I say nothing.
Okay. Well, as you guys mentioned, we are playing Okami for our New Game Plus Video Game Book Club Game of the Month. You can keep up with our Video Game Book Club as well as everything else over on social media. You can follow the show at Controller Club Pod, Instagram, Blue Sky, Controller_Club on Twitter, and at Controller.Club on TikTok. You can also watch the show on YouTube, subscribe to us, leave us a comment, thumbs up, and that's where you can leave us comments where we'll be now devoting part of the show to some of the comments we get over on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever we get comments. Our little comment corner here. Tom Drew, the keeper of the comments. What do we got from this past week? I want to shout out some of the videos, shout out some of the people watching them. What's up?
Yeah, we got a couple of comments here, so thank you if you left a comment on any of our videos. One of them was a kind of highlight video on the Return to Silent Hill movie. Just kind of giving an update on that. That was our exclusive scoop that we talked about last episode. And one person chimed in the comments. And basically just regaled some information that I completely missed. So I thought it was interesting. This comes from at Adrian J Johnson 6953, and they say, recently, they had a test screening for the movie back in December, but it was a rough cut. In brackets, the VFX and the music in it wasn't final. Then Christopher Gans, the director, made an appearance at the Gérardmer Fantastic Art Film Festival a few weeks ago, and he said that Return to Silent Hill had finished its post-production stage, in brackets meaning final edits for the movie are done, and it's ready for a theatrical release, so we should be hearing news about the movie real soon. So yeah, I missed this. I actually found what he was talking about on like a Reddit post. So maybe this movie's alive, or maybe it will come out. But yeah, I thought that was kind of fascinating. Also did want to shout out just a couple quick comments on our most recent, our previous episode of Control Club, the Xbox kind of breakdown of what the strategy is and what's going on there. Yeah, I'll just read some quick comments here. Ryan Cortero says here, I'm with Lauren. I want PlayStation to make PS Plus more enticing with day one drops. As much as I enjoy Xbox Live's model, I enjoy PS games more. At Mildhoof pointed out one quick second here. My Shinchan toy, because that was in the background of the previous thing. If you're listening to the audio version, I'm holding up a toy of Shin-chan, cartoon character. Anyway, so shout out for that. But also says, my big worry about Game Pass / an industry move to streaming services in general is that we'll see the same corrosive effect it's had on other creative industries. Streaming has reduced the value of recorded music to essentially nothing, consolidating revenue into fewer hands, and very few musicians outside the Taylor Swifts of the world can make a living from their artistry. It just feels like this could spell financial disaster for a lot of the teams who produce the games we love, and things are precarious enough as it is. Time will tell, though. So, I mean, that very possible, honestly. That's very possible. And then also, I'll just quickly shout out one last comment here. At Mitra Maharaj 9696 says, I deleted all my Halo, Forza, and Gears games from my Xbox, and I would not play them again because I bought the Xbox for their exclusivity. I feel betrayed, which is kind of sad. I feel really bad if that's the case. And yeah, I don't really know what you can do as an Xbox owner to kind of like tell Microsoft what you want and make your voice heard. So yeah, well, yeah, that's all I have to say for that. I don't know if you guys have anything to say, but yeah, thank you for all these comments. Feel free to leave more if you have anything else to say.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Some smart people listening and watching to our podcast. There was that one. I was like, oh my gosh, like business major on the wall. That's fantastic. As always, please rate, review us wherever you get your podcast. 5 stars. It really helps out. Also, we have an email address if you want to send us questions, hellos, anything PR stuff. It is controllerclubpod@gmail.com. Tom, Drew, where do people keep up with you online, and do you have anything going on in your life?
Yeah, you can find me at Tom Drew Art on Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, everywhere basically. Haven't really got anything. I've got some drawings in the work, but just haven't got around to finishing them. Again, I've fallen to the Pokemon TCG addiction, so maybe I'll post some stuff, like some photos of some of the pulls I got. So I got some cool stuff. But yeah, if you want to find that, check it out, Tom Drew Art.
Tom's going to commandeer our social pages, and he will become a Pokemon creator from now on, doing just opening packs all day long.
Hell yeah.
Lauren, where can people keep up with you online, and what do you have going on in your life?
You can follow me at lrouse19 on the socials. I haven't posted anything about my writing, but I have been writing this week some fun things. I wrote about some new info about The Last of Us Season 2. Surprise, surprise, coming from me. Talks about how Abby's are going to look a little different in the TV show. And I'm also writing about a show called Apple Cider Vinegar. I'm kind of invested in this because it's an Australian Netflix show, and Caitlin Dever, also Last of Us related, is in it and does the best Australian accent from a non-Australian that I've ever heard. I actually would be convinced if she was secretly an Australian from birth. So if you want to hear that in action, go watch the show.
I was about to ask, is she Australian? But I guess she isn't. She's just
very
putting on a
American.
That's that's cool. You can keep up with me everywhere. I'm at the Kleinfelt, TheKleinFelt, Blue Sky, Instagram, thedirect.com, just like Lauren, just like Tom, writing, editing each and every day. That's going to do it for this episode of Controller Club. It was a fun one. Thank you for listening. Now, let's get gaming.